Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. I am Jason Walls from QA Cafe, and thanks for joining our webinar with the illustrious Captain Tom Peterson,
Hi, everybody.
who is, full disclosure, does not possess the actual rank of captain.
No, I do not.
But is our resident packet capture expert and PCAP analysis expert who is regularly in the guts of CloudShark and Wireshark and the packet capture analysis community and is always very excited about this stuff. And so today he is going to take you through some of the new features in CloudShark 4 that are very exciting for us at least. To show you and go through basically a couple of use cases of start to finish of the things that you can do now and how much easier it is combining the different tools that we have at our disposal. That includes sort of where to start when you're diving into a PCAP, starting with like a log view or the summary view, if those are for people familiar with Zeek at all. That's what's going on behind the surface. Pivoting from a security alert that we have in CloudShark Threat Assessment into the packets, and then using some of CloudShark's new streamlined interface and our more informative display filters, sort of just the new improvements that we've added. If you do have any questions for Tom, please use the Q&A box in your Zoom control panel, as that lets us see them and figure out which ones are best to answer online or offline. And yeah, I'll hand things over to Tom, who can talk a little bit about the new features in CloudShark, and then he's going to show you kind of examples of all of these.
So let me share my screen. So hi, everybody. Like Jason said, I'm here to take you on a tour of the new features in CloudShark Enterprise 4.0. We've upgraded a lot of things under the hood. I think it's useful to kind of see them in a capture file. So here I've logged into CloudShark and I've just got a list of all my captures. I created one to show you all these new features and just to go over how I generated that. I just started a capture on my work machine here, and then I did one of these labs from PortSwigger. So they've created a bunch of labs, for example, cross-site scripting vulnerabilities. And they've set up these labs where you can they've set up a server, an application that's vulnerable to an attack, and you get to do the attack. And so that's just some background on how I generated this capture. It might be similar to something you'd get in like an IDS alert, something like that. And what we're going to do is go through this pcap from start to finish, sort of, pretending we don't know anything about it. And do a full analysis, find the security attack, analyze what happened. And so to do that, we'll dive in and open the pcap. So this view should be very familiar already. This is your typical 3-pane view. We've got a list of all the packets up top. You can click them to look at the decodes. We are running Wireshark under the hood. So these are all the standard decodes that you'll be used to. The display filters are exactly the same as in Wireshark, and you can still drag and drop fields into the display filter blocks to create filters. Under the hood, we've upgraded Wireshark to the latest version 4.4, so you can use all your profiles that you have in Wireshark. Everything is the same. And what happened while we were developing CloudShark 4.0 is we were actually able to submit all of the patches we made to Wireshark to sort of get this to work. And those have all been accepted into their main source code tree. So we'll be able to keep upgrading and stay up with the latest and greatest. A lot easier. So I don't want to start with this 3-pane view. We are going to come back to it. There's a lot of goodies hiding in here. I said it should look familiar, but we'll get back to all the nice new features in this view here. But to start, we need to find this attack. So a great place to start with that is the analysis tools and threat assessment. And what threat assessment does is it takes the pcap and it runs it against another open source tool called Suricata, which is an IDS. Um, it has a bunch of rules that it uses to look at the traffic, and if something matches one of the rules, it can generate an alert here. So here we can see in this pcap, we've got 8 low severity alerts, 11 high severity. So let's open the advanced analysis and take a look. So what we're seeing here is all of those alerts and the endpoints associated with them up at the top. You can move these around if you want a nicer picture. And we can see some of these low severity alerts here. We've got a Spotify P2P client. That one makes sense to me. I use Spotify at my desk. But here in an alert, you can see some of the information. So we've got the time it happened. It's over UDP, source and destination IP addresses. And you've got a link to follow stream so you can view the traffic that way. So since we don't really need this Spotify alert here, just making this look a lot busier, you can actually drag these endpoints off to hide them. And we've got some filters up at the top so you can filter by severity, category, or even just a specific signature. So let's go with this HTTP smuggler JA4 hash alert. Here we can see this is my machine. This is the same one doing Spotify. And now we can see some alerts where we're alerting on a JA4 hash. So let's click this one. And some of these rules will have external references, with some additional information about the rule, maybe why it's firing. So in this one, we've got a link that describes JA4 fingerprinting and what it is. So what this is it is a fingerprint of the TLS handshake that the client or the server does. It combines things like all of the algorithms, what order it puts them in, a whole bunch of information, and it concatenates that together to make a fingerprint. And with the fingerprint, now you can identify specific applications like Chrome using TCP or Quick. We can see a bunch of malware here too that have known JA4 hashes. So that's what we're alerting on here. We're detecting a JA4 alert. And we're able to do that because under the hood, we also upgraded Suricata to version 7. So that gives you a lot more protocols and features that you can use in rules. So now you'll be able to use the latest rules that are being published. If you're writing rules yourself, you'll be able to take advantage of the new keywords. There are also new protocols. They're always adding to it. So it's nice to be on the latest version there, which supports JA4. And we can click this rule, and here we can see actually the source of the rule. So here we're looking at TLS traffic. We're going to send this message, and we're looking for a specific JA4 hash. This is a known HTTP smuggler, for example. So I'll copy this JA4 hash just to have it in my clipboard because we can use it later. So now we've got some information about the attack. When we want to see what happened in the attack, we can try and use follow stream. But remember, this is TLS traffic. So this is encrypted. And Suricata can't look at the encrypted traffic. You'll see some strings from the handshake, like the server name, but we can't see the actual data sent by this host. So we've got our JA4 hash, and I'll close this tab because we've got, the IP addresses. We know that. And we can pivot to another tool. And in this case, we will pivot to Zeek. What Zeek is Zeek will also look at this pcap, and it is configured to generate a whole host of log files based on the pcap, which are really nice when you're kind of faced with this 3-pane view. You've got a lot of packets to go through. Having a log file can be a lot nicer to look at. So again, this is another place where we've upgraded Zeek under the hood. So we're running the latest version. That comes with a lot more log files, new columns, and new features you can take advantage of. So let's take a look at just con log. This is a log of all the connections in the capture. And this is kind of the base log. You can see it's really big. Got a lot of columns. It's kind of hard to look through. So for some of these logs, we've created these saved views where we've customized these columns up top. So here we're just looking at, the originator, the responder, what port, some information like the duration. We have these in a few places. We have these for DNS where you can see all the queries that have been made. And these views they make this a lot easier to see. So since we know the attack was over TLS, you can look at the SSL log. Looks like they haven't renamed that TLS. I think I saw SSL just turned 20 recently. But again, we've got a lot of columns in this log file. So let's see what columns are available. We can create our own kind of view of what we want to see. So here we can pick these columns. We'll start with none. And let's see what would probably be interesting. We've got the originator's IP address. That'll be interesting. The responders, we don't need the port, we'll use the host. I like how this populates in the back kind of as you go, so you can kind of add a column temporarily, see if it looks like the right thing, and get rid of it if not. We've got the IP addresses. We'll take a look at the server name. We can see which server this is going to. The next protocol, so what is after TLS. And we've got JA4 as a column here, so we'll add that too, because we have the JA4 that we discovered from threat assessment. And if you don't see this on your CloudShark Enterprise system, don't worry. We'll be sending out some information after the webinar on how to get the JA4 plugin installed in your version. Really simple, it's one command. It's another nice thing about including the latest versions. You can use all these additional plugins that are now supported in Zeek, including JA4. Close this, and we'll search for that JA4 hash, and we've got it. So here, these are all the connections our attacker made. We can see two different hosts. There's probably some load balancing going on this server, but we have the server name now. We've got the next protocol, so we know we're doing HTTP 2 traffic, and here's that JA4. If we click on a row, we can get back to sort of all of those columns that are in the row. So you can get to all that information. And then we've also got a link to view the packets. And what this is going to do, this is really nice to have this information, and it's a nice, easy view, but it's not enough. We know a potential attack happened, but we haven't verified anything yet. So to do that, we're going to go back to the packets, and now we're in our 3-page view. We've also got a display filter for that row from the Zeek log. So now we're seeing one of the connections the attacker made. And if we scroll through, we can see some HTTP 2 traffic. If we click on that, we can see an HTTP 2 stream. But if you remember, when we tried to look at the stream earlier in threat assessment, it was encrypted. We were seeing this information. That's because Wireshark supports decrypting TLS traffic using a keylog. So in this example, while I was doing the attack, I saved all the keys to a log file, and then with another command was able to inject them into this pcap file. So now they're in here, and Wireshark will pick them up automatically and use those keys to decrypt this traffic. And now we can actually see this HTTP 2 stream. So this right here is one of the reasons why you definitely want to be on the latest version of Wireshark. A lot of traffic is being encrypted now. It's difficult to troubleshoot, but with those key logs, you can actually see what's being sent at the application layer. And just this right here, this is one of the new features we've added that I really love. It's the tabs in the packet decode. And typically, you've got this frame here, which is nice because you can click and highlight between the capture file and the decode. But oftentimes, now we want to look at decrypted TLS. And here, now we can look at decrypted traffic. And these still highlight between the two. Oftentimes, HTTP2 is compressed. So we've got header, a decompressed tab. And then the real star of the show is the HTTP2 tab. So here we can see, we've got our attacker. He's trying to get to /admin. Well, the server is responding, the path is blocked. We probably want to see all of the other connections that the attacker made so we can go through them the same way. So to do that, we can use the JA4 from that we know. And that will bring me to one of my next favorite features that's also kind of small. But if you look at it down here at the bottom, we've got a status bar now. So we've got, an indicator if the packet's loading, how long the capture is, how big it is, the number of displayed packets, and the number of total packets. This is really nice because now we can look at how many packets our display filter is matching. So here we can see we've got 43 packets, 0.3% of the capture file. Just having that information, that can be really useful if you see something you're not expecting, like one display filter matching a lot of packets or not many. And then on the other side of the status bar, one of my other favorite new features is we've got the field name right down here. You can actually copy and paste this and use it to create display filters based on that field name. And it's really nice to just be able to have that always showing up and always updating while you're making filter expressions. So we've got a JA4, and we're going to want to filter on that. There are a few different ways we can do that. One way, we'll clear our display filter. And let's see, for JA4, we know it's TLS traffic. And we've got this auto completer, which will tell you, the name of a field that matches and a short description of what it is. So TLS stands for Transport Layer Security. And the other thing we know about a JA4 is it happens in the handshake. There's a lot of fields for TLS. There's a lot for TCP too. We know we're in the handshake, so we can look there. So we're looking in the handshake protocol. And if we scroll down, we can see the field that we're looking for, the JA4. That's really nice, especially if you don't know the name of a field and you don't have a packet that you can reference, or you're trying to find a packet, so it can be difficult to write those. So having the autocomplete is very nice there. The other way we could have done this is going into the handshake and finding a JA4 and clicking on it. And now we know we'd have that same field name. And then finally, figure that out again. You can drag and drop them up. So here we can drag and drop it. If you add multiples, what it'll do is concatenate them with an and, so both fields will have to match. So we want to look at all of these streams, and got the source and destination, and I've pre-made a filter for this We can look at suspicious J4 streams. This filter expression gives me the IP addresses. Since we know we're talking HTTP2, we can add a filter for that. All right, and now with the new follow stream down here, we can go through and see what was said. So here we've got our initial HTTP2 GET. Nothing really special about it. We're using curl, and we got a 403 admin path blocked. And we've got another one. This time it's a post to slash. And well, this is interesting. There's another, in addition to the HTTP2 header we have up here, we've got an HTTP header, 1.1 down here. And it looks like the server's responding back with a 200 OK. And this would probably be returning a 404. So it's a little weird, but it doesn't look like anything happened. You can use these, you can click on the fields too to navigate between the packets that made them up. So it's weird, but nothing seemed to have happened. We've got another post. We've got that header in there again. It's a little different, but I'm not really sure what the server's trying, or the attacker's trying to do here. Let's take a look at another post. And here we're posting to an image, which is already kind of weird. We've got our HTTP2 header. We've still got that HTTP1 header tacked onto the bottom. And the server's responding back. We can see from the content type an image. So again, doesn't look like anything bad's happening here. It's just a little weird. Well, let's just keep going. Here we've got, it looks about the same. It's HTTP2 request. Got that HTTP1 header in again, but we're seeing a 404 now, which is different. And that seems pretty odd. Let's make sure that that request that the attacker is making is actually the same as before, and we're actually seeing different data from the server. So for that, what we can do is look up the TCP checksum. Essentially, this is a checksum of the TCP traffic. If it's the same as this one, then we know it was the same packet. If it's different, then something else in the packet might be different. But it's a quick way to check. And what we can do is drag and drop our column right into the column bar. And now we've got a column for it. So now we can just look really easily. 5448, 5448. So we did actually send the same traffic twice and we got a different response. So that's weird. So let's add a note in here. Here, HTTP2 traffic. So I like to use the annotations. They help me remember where I left off. If I come back to this later, I've got that annotation kind of reminding me where I left off. With these columns, we've also added the ability to resize them. So you can make them bigger, smaller. You can move them around now. And for this example, since we've got HTTP2 as our filter, it's all HTTP2. We don't really need the protocol. We can just get rid of it and focus on what we need. All right, so we found that interesting comment. It's nice. These can actually be expanded out too. So you can see them right in the side as a column. I don't need it right now. All right, so let's keep going and see what else this attacker sends. So here we've got another post. It's different than the last time. We can tell by the TCP checksum. Let's see what we do here. We've got an HTTP2, similar post. Instead of get 404, now we're doing get/admin. So that must be what's different about these two packets. The server responds, but it responds with an image. So it looks like the attacker wasn't able to get to /admin. And if we keep going, here we see another one. This one, okay, also goes to try to get admin. Here we can see a 200, and this is our get admin page. So the attacker was able to get around and get to the /admin page. You can actually see, this is the title of the lab I was working on uh, right in there. So now we know that the attacker was able to exploit something, get our /admin page. Let's see if anything else interesting happens. So we've got to we're trying to delete the user. And if we keep looking, here we can see in this request to delete the user, the server responded and redirects them to the /admin page. So the attacker was actually able to delete a user as well. And now that we've done our analysis, we can write this up and include it in a report. And there you go.
Very cool. All right, thanks, Tom.
Yeah.
And for those of you that have used CloudShark before, I hope seeing some of those new ways of moving around in the three-pane view are pretty cool. I love the drag and drop stuff. It makes me happy.
It's so nice not to have to memorize things.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, a couple of things I wanted to mention about CloudShark Enterprise 4.0 that are also new. That includes our new deployment model, right? So there's now a standardized OVA that you can use that's pre-configured for you to be able to just install CloudShark. just do it. It's exceedingly easier than before. And we're now running on Red Hat Enterprise Linux 8. And Tom talked about the component upgrades behind the scenes, right? So now CloudShark Enterprise is combining Wireshark 4.4, Zeek 6, and Suricata 7 into one tool that that lets you pivot between the different views, right? So it's processing that pcap using all of those things at our disposal and letting you work between them to go from one place to the other, pivoting on the packets. The other thing we do want to mention about CloudShark Enterprise is that coming this summer, we'll be moving CloudShark Enterprise to an unlimited license, right? So it's basically unlimited instances and users for one cost, so that you can deploy it across your entire organization. And just based on the feedback of people that we've had using CloudShark Enterprise, this is usually what is it's just way easier for everybody. And it's really what the enterprises, when people are doing enterprise grade packet analysis across their entire organization, this is just the kind of thing that is exceedingly more useful for them to be able to do. And the nice thing about CloudShark Enterprise is that we are combining those tools together and making it so that they can be deployed in an enterprise grade way for everybody to be able to use and leverage everyone's expertise. So you can deploy it across your entire organization or spawn those instances when and where you need them, and make them vanish when you don't. And if you want to know more about that licensing model, you can contact sales@qacafe.com for more information. All right, let's get to some questions. If anybody does have questions, please, like I said, do type them into the Q&A box in your Zoom control panel, and that will let us see them over here. The one that I know some people are going to ask, so I'll jump the gun here on it. We know what we're talking about when we say things like Zeek and Suricata. But I wanted to touch on Zeek a little bit, Tom, and the concept of log views and summaries. I know you showed it a little bit, but for somebody who has never, for somebody who's either just familiar with Wireshark and looking at packets, who might not have been as familiar with with log views before. I was wondering if you can talk a little bit about that. Because
Yeah.
it's like Zeek is sort of billed as this security tool, but it's fantastically more useful than that when it comes to just looking at pcaps in general.
Yeah,
You
let
can
me
still,
share.
yeah.
I'm going to steal the screen again, and let's open Zeek back up. Zeek's actually a new tool for me, or it was. I've been using it for a while now, but it's the newest one in my packet analysis kind of toolbox. Um, and what's really nice is it generates all these log files, essentially, so you're not clicking on all of these packets trying to hunt and find what you need. So if we take this, we can look at the logs again, and we can look at kind of this con log, and you can see just all the different columns that you can find in here. It's a great place to start your analysis because of these summaries. You know, we can look at DNS and say, oh, we're making a lot of requests here. And then if we look down, you know, both ends of this can be very interesting. But it's a great place to look at your pcap and start your discovery. Oftentimes, you know, like we just saw, you're not going to be able to see what was transmitted over TLS from this view. But what's really nice, and what's nice about having this with the packets, is we can always get back to them. Because that's where you have, you know, the full pcap data, all of the information. It's really useful, but there's a lot of it. So Zeek's a great place to just kind of get an overview.
Right. And one of the things that we've been kind of trying to talk about a little more and promote a little more with the concept of, you know, enterprise grade pcap analysis is that there's many different people with many different levels of expertise. And what things like Zeek logs do, it's really just sort of like, and we've talked about this a lot in the past, right, Tom? It was like, what if, what if that was actually the first view that we just give people, right? Because obviously there's many different levels of expertise and there's many different ways that people approach a problem that has a PCAP related to it. And providing those different views and providing that different context to somebody who might be new or might go about things in a different way is one of the things that we've been trying to do with CloudShark Enterprise to make sure that those views exist. And long story short, there's you. I know you showed some of the pre-configured filters that are applied with the profiles, but the profiles are another great way to sort of make sure that you're setting the context for the person who's looking at the capture. And that can either be something that you've done for yourself, right? So you're the expert, you've done it for yourself, you know that, you know, I'm analyzing a security problem, I'm analyzing a Wi-Fi problem, I'm going to look at things this way first, but also to be able to pass that stuff on to somebody who either doesn't have the expertise or just needs to cut through a bunch of stuff. You'd be like, here, look at this, and this is the view you need right now, right?
Yep.
And I think that with the profiles, you know, we have some of the default ones that we've added, and then we also have uh, Eddie Du Bois's one, right?
Yep.
Ones
We
that
have
are
a
in
whole
there.
set. We have a whole
Yeah,
set of their profiles, which are awesome.
yeah. And yeah, and she's really great and has been working on this for a long time of, you know, building those profiles that can be used to set the context for people. But I just wanted to bring up that point that what we are talking about really with CloudShark Enterprise is making PCAP analysis accessible to an entire organization and all the different kinds of people that might be having to deal with this stuff. Really make PCAPs more valuable. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, here's a question. Oh, so this has also come up a couple times. You know, obviously, you know, we're running Wireshark behind the scenes, but it doesn't necessarily do everything that Wireshark can do. It's the vast majority of things. So if people do have a feature request, where should we send them?
Send them right to support@qacafe.com, and
All right.